Sayadaw explained about Avedajita Sukha and Sandhi Sukha from both theoretical and practical aspects. If it were to be explained in detail, it would be very wide, so Sayadaw explained in brief. Avedajita Sukha, or in other words, Sandhi Sukha, means cessation of all the suffering, cessation of all nama-rupa phenomena such as seeing, hearing, smelling, tasting, touching, thinking, and so on. When all these sufferings connecting with existences come to a cessation, one gains Avedajita Sukha, or in another word, Sandhi Sukha. When one becomes a Sotapanna, a stream enterer, one has gotten rid of some certain sufferings. And when one becomes Arahanta, one becomes Arahat, then one is totally free from these sufferings connecting with nama-rupa. When one becomes an Arahat, one is totally peaceful. Avedajita Sukha is the cessation of nama-rupa phenomena, and it is total peacefulness. It is totally peaceful. Buddha himself practiced this method, and Buddha himself attained Avedajita Sukha, or in another words, Sandhi Sukha. When one attains Avedajita Sukha or Sandhi Sukha, one is totally free from sorrow, lamentation, grief, and so on. And also, it is free from the dirt of defilements, raga, dosa, moha, so that one is totally free from enmity and danger. Because it is free from enmity and danger, it is called khema. It means the realm or the field of happiness. It is compared to an oasis when one has to travel in a desert, very dry desert. One comes across an oasis, and this oasis is a place where one enjoys. In the same way, Nibbana is compared to an oasis, and it is called Sukha Bhumi, the place or the realm where there is happiness and peace. It is Susukha. So in the world where there are a lot of suffering, one needs Avedajita Sukha, where it is totally free from the suffering connecting with nama-rupa. It is not just ordinarily good, but it is extremely, intensely good, and it is called Susukha because it is the topmost even among the best kind of peacefulness. So it is extremely peaceful, it is outstandingly, intensely peaceful. And Buddha praised with the word using Susukha. When Buddha was absorbed in Phala-samapatti, absorption of fruition, and after Buddha emerged from this Phala-samapatti, Buddha praised as Susukha, it is extremely, intensely peaceful. Phala-samapatti is the absorption when nama and rupa, mind and matter, come to a cessation for 1 hour, 2 hours, and so on. Attaining Phala Samapatti, there will be cessation of mind and matter for long period. And after emerging from Phala Samapatti, they pray, Buddha prays that Susukhamvata Nibbana Samma Sambuddha Dejita Asoka Virajang Kema Jatha Dukkha Nirojati. So it means that in Nibbana it is totally free from the suffering of Nama Rupa. It is totally free from suffering connecting with Nama Rupa. When sufferings come to an end, it is totally peaceful. There is no suffering whatsoever, and it is totally peaceful. And it is said that Susukhamvata, it is extremely, intensely peaceful, outstandingly peaceful. And such kind of outstandingly peacefulness is praised by the Samma Sambuddha, praised by the Buddha, who knows everything that should be known by perfecting paramis, and Buddha knew everything that should be known. Buddha knew by himself correctly. Such kind of Buddha prays about this Nibbana as Susukha. It means extremely, intensely peaceful. By practicing Satipatthana meditation, by being mindful of the presently arising objects, by practicing systematically, one can overcome sufferings that are connecting with mind and matter. One overcomes the sufferings connecting with mind and matter gradually by practicing Satipatthana meditation. Such suffering become more and more distant, and finally one totally overcomes such suffering by attaining Nibbana. Buddha himself practiced meditation, and Buddha himself eradicated all the defilements. Buddha eradicated all these defilements, and thus one will not be performing deeds, good or bad deeds, that leads to further suffering. When one is devoid of good and bad deeds that leads to further suffering, there will not be resultant. An Arahat is totally free from defilements, and thus the deeds that an Arahat performs will no longer give results. Because an Arahat is totally free from kilesa defilements, and the action done by an Arahat will no longer give result, and it is called Kariya. The action done by an Arahat is totally clean and pure. It is totally clean and pure, which surpasses the actions done by an ordinary person. Even though the actions done by an Arahat is totally pure and clean, such actions will no longer give result, because an Arahat is totally free from kilesa defilement. And Buddha himself practiced this way, and Buddha praised that Nibbana is totally free from sufferings connected with Nama Rupa, and it is intensely, extremely peaceful. And Nibbana is praised as Asoka. Asoka means totally free from sorrow and grief. Ordinary people experiences grief and sorrow when they encounter losses in either business or family members or friends. But Nibbana is totally free from sorrow and grief. And it is also the cessation of mind and matter. Sorrow and grief is connecting with Nama Rupa. Because Nibbana is totally free from Nama Rupa, because Nibbana is cessation of Nama Rupa, Nibbana is totally free from sorrow and grief. Dale Carnegie wrote a book about staying free from sorrow and grief. And by reading his book, people can be free from sorrow and grief just in the short term, just momentarily. But one can totally be free from sorrow and grief by walking the path of Satipatthana practice. By practicing Satipatthana practice, one can attain Nibbana. Nibbana, which is called Viraja, because it is totally free from the dirt of defilement. When one lets control with mindfulness, then one develops greed. When one comes across a desirable object, one will be having anger, aversion, hatred, dissatisfaction when one comes across undesirable objects. And there can also be other defilements such as pride, conceit, envy, jealousy, and so on. There will be not knowing and knowing wrongly also. Nibbana is totally free from all these dirts of defilement, and it is said Viraja. Viraja is the word defining Nibbana because it is totally free from all the dirt of defilement. Because Nibbana is totally free from all the dirt of defilement, there is peacefulness, intense peacefulness, and there is totally free from suffering. If a person is not free from defilements, the person will not be safe and secure. Indulging in the internal enmity, which are the defilements, the person has no security, and thus one will meet suffering, harm, and danger. When one has eradicated all these philisa defilements to the point of no return, there is no danger or harm whatsoever. Susukha means extremely, intensely peaceful. Nibbana is intensely peaceful. It is not from imagination, but it is from Buddha's own experience. Buddha experienced this Nibbana, which is totally free from sorrow and grief, which is totally free from the dirt of defilement, and it is intensely peaceful. So people who are taking pleasure in seeing, hearing, smelling, tasting, touching, thinking, and so on, however such seeing, hearing things may be, however good they may be, they do not last long. Even though the visible object may be very beautiful and pleasant, if the person takes a look at this beautiful object, but the person cannot be looking for long. After some time, the person gets bored with looking even at most beautiful objects. And after some time, the person gets exhausted of looking, hearing, smelling, tasting, touching, and so on. After enjoying sense objects to the one's heart's content, after some time, the person gets tired and exhausted. and the person takes a nap. When the person takes a nap, and after, the person feels energized and fresh again, and the person praises that his or her nap was very good. So this example is compared to Nibbana. Nibbana is the cessation of all suffering connecting with Nama Rupa. And when one emerges from attaining Nibbana, one praises that it is Susukha, it is very peaceful. So wise people who attain Phala-samapatti, absorption of vision consciousness, after they emerge from Phala-samapatti, they praise that it is very peaceful. It is called Udana in Pali. When one experiences something very good, he/she cannot keep it in mind, but he/she will say it out, praising it. It is called Udana. Nibbana is the cessation of mind and matter, which is totally free from sufferings connected with Nama Rupa. Because there is Nama Rupa, mind and matter, people are seeing, hearing, smelling, tasting, touching, and thinking. People who like to see, hear, smell, taste, touch, and think, who are after sensual pleasure, they do not want Nibbana, because they think that by attaining Nibbana, they will lose seeing, hearing, smelling, tasting, touching good things. So they do not want to lose good things that they can see, hear, smell, taste, touch, and think. So such kind of people who are after sensual pleasure, they do not want to attain Nibbana. People who do not know suffering as suffering, they do not want to attain Nibbana, because they think that attaining Nibbana is a great loss, because one cannot see, cannot hear, cannot smell, cannot taste, cannot touch, so on. Not knowing the flaws of sensual pleasure, it is avijja, ignorance, not knowing. Not knowing Nibbana is good and peaceful, it is also avijja, ignorance. And such people are going very far from Nibbana. So they think that without Nama Rupa, because Nibbana is cessation of Nama Rupa, they think that it is great loss. Because there is no Nama Rupa, there is no seeing, hearing, smelling, tasting, touching, and they think that it is a big loss. Because they hold high esteem of the mundane kind of happiness, they hold high esteem of the sensual pleasure, that's why they think that Nibbana is no good. People who attain Phala-samapatti, they praise that it is very peaceful because it is free from all the suffering. Saraji told a story about a young boy. Saraji met this young boy who was 9 years old, 30 years ago. This young boy came to Mahasi Meditation Center together with his great-grandma. So together with his great-grandma, he listened to the Dhamma discourses, Dhamma talks given by the late Venerable Mahasi Sayadaw. And the late Venerable Mahasi Sayadaw explained about Satipatthana practice, how to practice, and also other Dhamma talks. So this young boy was used to hearing talks of this great of this late Venerable Mahasi Sayadaw, because he came together with his great-grandma. So the young boy heard from the Dhamma talk that Nibbana is the cessation of mind and matter, and Nibbana does not have any suffering connecting with mind and matter. At one time, Sayadaw asked this young boy, "Do you know Nibbana?" And he replied, "Yes, I know Nibbana." So Sayadaw said, because Nibbana has no nama rupa, it means that there is no eye, ear, nose, tongue, and so on. So only because you have ears, only because you have eyes, you can see your grandma, you can see your great-grandma, parents, and also your brothers and sisters. When you attain Nibbana, you will have no nama rupa and thus no eyes, so you will not get to see your pre-cessation every single second by being mindful of the presently arising object. And by doing that, one will finally attain the total peace that is the true cessation of mind and matter. Just now, Sayadaw mentioned Uccheda Ditthi and Sassata Ditthi. People who do not believe that mentality predominates, they think that the materiality predominates. And then they think that after one existence, after one dies, there will be nothing more. They think that because of the materiality, the soul arises, the soul is present. And when the materiality comes to an end, they believe that the soul also comes to an end. So such kind of people who believe in materialism, they think that after death there will be nothing more, and it is called Uccheda Ditthi. People who believe in Mahabrahma, they believe in Sassata Ditthi. They believe that Mahabrahma is creating Jiva Atta, individual soul. And because of this Jiva Atta, they believe that it is the Jiva Atta who is seeing, hearing, smelling, tasting, touching, thinking, and so on. So they believe when the materiality comes to an end, the soul will move on to the next body. The soul that is part of Mahabrahma will move on to the next body when the being dies. So in this way, they believe that the Atta is permanent. People who believe in Mahabrahma believe in such kind of belief, and it is called Sassata Ditthi. When yogi discerns that the objects that are connecting as cause and effect, these objects are arising, new and new objects arising. When the yogi sees that new and new objects are arising, then yogi overcomes Uccheda Ditthi, nihilism view. And when the yogi sees ever arising and passing away of the objects, a new object arises and dissolves at no time, another new object arises and dissolves at at another moment, then yogi understands that things are not permanent. Yogi who understands this impermanence overcomes Sassata Ditthi. So the people who believe in materialism, they believe in Uccheda Ditthi, nihilism view. And the people who believe in Mahabrahma, they believe in Sassata Ditthi. They think that after death, soul will move on to the next body. By practicing Satipatthana meditation, by being mindful of every arising object, when the yogi sees arising and passing away of the object, then yogi overcomes such wrong views. Yogi overcomes Uccheda Ditthi and Sassata Ditthi momentarily when she is being mindful. So it is quite satisfactory to overcome such wrong view momentarily by being mindful. The one who does not believe in Kilesavada or Kamavada, people who do not know the round of defilement lead to round of deeds, and it leads to the round of resultant. People who do not know these rounds, they do not believe the existences, and they believe that after death there is nothing more, and it is called Vipassana, the wrong view, believing that there is nothing after death. And also, so they and people who believe that after death the soul moves on to the next body, it is called Sassata Ditthi. They are believing in such belief with their own imagination without any practice. Not believing in further existences, they do not believe that good deeds will bring good results, bad deeds will bring bad results. So in life, they only do things that will make them good and comfortable. They will not be fearful of doing unwholesome deeds. They will not be fearful of committing misconduct. And because they do not believe in next existences, they do not perform wholesome deeds. Failing to refrain from misconduct, they meet harm and danger. Failing to perform wholesome deeds, they do not get good results. So in this way, because they fail to refrain from misconduct, they meet harm and danger even in this present life. Failing to perform good deeds, they do not have benefits, they do not get good results, not even in this life. So people who believe in Uccheda Ditthi, people who believe that there is nothing after death, they perform all sorts of transgressions, and they are making the world worse. People who believe in Mahabrahma, they believe that Jiva Atta, individual soul, does not perish. They believe that after death, the soul will move on to the next body. They believe in Mahabrahma totally, and they think that there is nothing more to do than having faith in Mahabrahma. In this way, they believe in the Creator, they believe totally on the Creator, and thus they do not make effort to work by themselves out of their own knowledge. Not working with their effort, with their knowledge, they do not get good results. Because they totally believe on Mahabrahma, Creator, they do not perform wholesome deeds, and thus they do not get good results. because they believe totally on Creator. So people who depend on Creator without depending on oneself, they are useless. When one understands that Nama Rupa phenomena are arising as cause and effect, knowing cause and effect, one understands that there is no Creator. What really is present is the mind and matter, mentality and materiality, which are arising as cause and effect. And knowing that things arise at one moment and passes away at another moment, one understands arising and passing away, and thus one understands that it is not permanent. Buddha himself practiced this way, and Buddha guided the beings this way of practice, so that beings come to understand arising and passing away, and beings come to understand impermanence by practicing the way that Buddha had guided. By practicing according to the teaching of the Buddha, one overcomes Sassata Ditthi and Uccheda Ditthi. Understanding that Kilesavada, round of defilements, leads to Kammavada, round of deeds, and this Kammavada, round of deeds, lead to Vipakavada, round of resultant. One overcomes the wrong view of Uccheda Ditthi. Not believing in Mahabrahma, not believing in Creator, one depends on oneself. One depends on oneself by practicing by oneself. Practicing, depending oneself, one practices, and then one gains benefits, and one also overcomes this wrong view of Uccheda Ditthi. Believing in such wrong views of Uccheda Ditthi and Sassata Ditthi, one will not get any benefit. 1 hour is up, and this will be all for today. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu.